Hi, my name is Jim. I'm a member of the Kings Mountain National Military Park Backcountry Militia. I'm standing here in my semi-wooded backyard in my black flop hat, blue hunting shirt, tan trousers, gray leggings, tan moccasins. I'm here to talk about the weapons, some of the weapons that were used during the American Revolution. First thing I would like to talk about, though, is the firing mechanism for all of the weapons. All of the weapons, the American long rifle, the Brown Bess musket, and the French Charleville musket, were all flintlocks. A flintlock works by placing a small bit of gunpowder in this pan, closing the steel. When you pull the hammer all the way back to full cock, you'll notice that there is a piece of flint here. The flint strikes the steel, creating sparks. The sparks ignite the powder in the pan. The powder in the pan ignite the powder in the barrel. And the powder in the barrel is what fires the projectile. It is not instantaneous. It is a poof and then a bang. For the 18th century, it was the most reliable firing mechanism there was, but it had a problem working during rain and high humidity. Now, what I am holding is the American long rifle. This is a weapon that was used by many of the backcountry militia, the over-the-mountain men, at the Battle of Kings Mountain. The American long rifle does have a rifled barrel, which means there are grooves cut in the barrel to spin the bullet, which makes it far more accurate than a musket. There are documented shots in the American Revolution of 400 yards with an American long rifle. This rifle does have sights. It has a rear sight and a front sight. It has a long barrel for two reasons. One, to make a more efficient use of the powder, and two, the longer the sight radius, the more accurate you're going to be. It takes approximately a minute to load this rifle. The first thing I would do would be to take powder from my powder horn, pour it into my powder measure. Take the powder from my powder measure, pour it down the barrel. I will then take one of my round balls, which has a small piece of cloth patching around it. The cloth patching helps the ball grab the rifling in the barrel and make it a little more accurate. So I will take the barrel, the rifle, get my ball starter to start the ball down the barrel. I will then draw my ramrod and ram the round home. I will return the ramrod, bring the lock up, pour some powder into the pan, close the steel, and I'm ready to fire. Okay, it takes about a minute to load this weapon. This weapon is not mass produced. It's made to the individual's specifications by a gunsmith who would generally make the lock, the stock, and the barrel. Maybe the most expensive thing that some backcountry folks would have had, in as much as it may have taken almost a year's wages in earnings and barter to pay for this rifle. But this is the American long rifle. All right, the next weapon I'd like to talk about is the standard weapon for the British Army during the American Revolution and many militia groups. This is the Brown Bess musket, also known as the Shortland New Pattern musket. This fires a 75 caliber. It is a 75 caliber barrel that fires a 69 caliber round ball. Again, like the American long rifle, it is a flintlock mechanism. However, the musket has a smooth bore barrel rather than a rifled barrel. It is accurate maybe to 70 to 80 yards. Again, it is a flintlock weapon. It is loaded a little bit differently than the long rifle. The British soldier would be wearing a cartridge box. Inside the cartridge box there are pre-made paper cartridges. To load the musket, the British soldier would smack his cartridge box, pull out his paper cartridge. He would tear off the top of the cartridge with his teeth To serve in any of the major armies in the 18th century, you had to have two opposing teeth to literally tear off the cartridge. Tear off the cartridge. Put a little bit of powder in the pan, close the frizzen, cast about, pour the powder, the paper, and the round ball down the barrel. Draw the rammer, ram it home. A well-trained soldier can load his musket 3 to 4 times a minute. However, the most important part of the musket is not the round ball. The round ball was used to soften up the enemy. The most important part is the bayonet. The Brown Bess musket was fitted with an 18-inch triangular bayonet. After firing 2 or 3 rounds from the musket, the troops would be given the order to march forward. They would march in an orderly line, bayonets forward, and they would slug it out in hand-to-hand combat. The musket is a robust weapon made, you'll notice it's got a nice steady wrist, a flat black brass butt plate, so that you could also use it as a club. This weapon served the British Army from approximately 1728 to about 1839 in basically 3 different forms. But again, this is the Brown Bess musket. All right, I've talked about the American long rifle, the Brown Bess musket. This is probably, for the Continental Army, the most important weapon of the American Revolution. This is the French military musket, commonly referred to as the Charleville, after one of the armories that it was made at. France, during the course of the American Revolution, supplied over 200,000 of these muskets to the Continental Army. Again, this is a smooth-bore musket. It does not have rifling. It does have an attachment for a bayonet, and again, it is a flintlock mechanism. France started supplying us weapons near the end of 1776 and 1777, especially after the Battle of Saratoga. Because up to that point in time, the Continental Army really didn't have a standardized weapon. The French military musket loads the exact same way that the Brown Bess does. And again, it has a thick wrist, flat butt plate, so that you could use it as a club. Again, it is a flintlock mechanism. This weapon was so liked by the Continental Army in the United States that in 1795, when the United States opened the Springfield Armory and produced its first musket, it was an exact copy of this, the French Charleville musket. My sling happens to be a homemade sling and is not a standard sling that you would find on an issued Charleville musket. But again, the Charleville musket, the single most important weapon for the Continental Army during the American Revolution. Thank you. Oh, you want me to stand still but wait? Ow!